Oh, excuse me. Didn't see you there. We are back with the first episode of 2020 for the Talk Like No One's Listening podcast. Episode 25. What a time to be alive. Excuse me, sorry. We're back with just a whole new world, a whole new ocean of sounds. Well, not an ocean, it's not that deep. Well, it can be, if you listen close enough. What am I talking about? I don't know. But that's besides the point. Seriously, though. The last episode I did, I was on tour. I was on the road for the Willow Iris tour. Willow and Jaden Smith tour. Co-headliner tour. That finished up in mid-December. Right now we're in mid-January. And while I was on that tour, towards the end, almost to the end of the tour, I had received word that a song that I produced for Willow called Wait a Minute had become certified gold by the RIAA. So, the people that make those gold plaques and platinum plaques and all that. What does that mean in 2020 or 2019 at the time it happened? I'm not really sure. Certifications for gold and platinum started with certifications for units sold. And in the current era of music, there are 0 units sold. There's no units. There isn't a thing. I mean, some people print physical copies of the music, and they're usually people that would maybe sell their CD in a Walmart in the Midwest. So it's definitely not the majority of people making music right now. The vast majority of people making music, they are making a digital file that they upload that goes out on streaming platforms and people stream. And that's it. And the good thing and the bad thing about that is that everybody can do it, and everybody can potentially hear your music, and everybody can potentially put out music. So with that, you get oversaturation. You get way more music than what the world needs. You get way more people able to make music than should. It's great to level the playing field and make this a thing that's accessible to just about everybody not on the planet. Let's just talk about America. Making music and releasing music is pretty much accessible to almost everybody. As long as you have a computer and like a little bit of money to just buy something, like the most basic of equipment and software, you can be making music and you can be putting it out, and it could be there for anybody in the world to listen to if they just so happen to stumble upon it. Or if it's good, then somebody will share it, someone will talk about it, someone will tell other people about this cool music that they just found out about. And Wow. See, even chickens. It's a great day for animal rights. You know, even animals can make records. Farm animals can make an album. What a time to be alive. The progress we've made up until this point is great. So look what we have to compete with. Humans. We gotta compete not only with all the other humans that are creating tons and tons of music all the time, you gotta compete with farm animals. Man, it's getting kind of tough out there. And the reason why I started off on this weird tangent was when I found out that a song that I produced got certified gold. It was good news, of course, but it was not quite the same as what maybe if you were told you got a gold record 10 years ago. 10 years ago, a gold record seemed like to be a lot more legit of a certification. It's weird when your certification comes just from streamings. The sheer vast, gigantic amount of streams that a song can get to the point where that equals a certification of some kind. But now all music, that's all there is to go off of is streams. So it's real and it's also not. And that's life. So I was glad to hear about that, of course. Glad to hear that something that I helped to create was enjoyed by people enough times that it became what you would call a quote-unquote hit song. It's kind of funny to think about it that way, but it's true. And I had proof of it because, I mean, yeah, numbers don't lie, but also being on tour with Willow and watching her perform every night and watching her perform this said song at the end of her set every night and watching the crowd go crazy every night, that's how you know. That's, as real as it gets. Oof. Am I in a submarine? I could be. Am I scanning the bottom of the ocean floor? Potentially. Excuse me. Got a little bit of a thing. Yeah, when that happened, though, when I did get that, a lot of thoughts went through my head and have been since. I've been spending most of my career as a music professional, as an engineer. That is what I got into this for, was to become an engineer, and that's what I focus on for the vast majority of the past 11, 12 years, was focusing on becoming a professional, legit engineer and learning how to do this at a professional level, at the highest level that I could, the highest level that I am willing to go, which is pretty high, but there is a point where with engineering, it's just like, come on, there's only so good that engineering needs to be, honestly. I'll tell you that much. After some point, you're just doing it for yourself. You're just doing it for like an ego thing to just show everyone like how good of an engineer you are, how good your ears are, how much of an audiophile you are. I do not care how much nice equipment you got and shit like that. I don't care.
So, a very small fraction of time out of my career has been spent producing songs. Not very many, I'll tell you right now. I have 6 songs out there in the world. That's it. That I have credit as producer. That's it. It's not much to speak of, except one of those 6 is a gold record. So, what the fuck have I been doing this whole time? What the fuck am I doing now? Making this weird, random ass podcast. I don't know, but recently I've definitely had to reevaluate myself, what I'm doing, what do I want to do, what do I want out of all this, what do I want to achieve. And in simple terms, I want to achieve fuck you money. Because I think that's basically one of the best things you can achieve in this world. The ability to have enough money to have basically bought your own freedom. It's like being an indentured servant and you've paid back your debt. You're free. But beyond more than just being free, you know, free to do whatever you want, whenever you want, to not have any obligations to an employer or to a bank for debts or anything like that, just to be at the point where you can wake up every day and decide to do whatever you want that day, within reason, of course. I'm not trying to go just out of my mind, but the fact to be able to wake up every day and just look at the world and say, what do I want to do today? And you go out and you do that. That's freedom. That's the ultimate freedom. That's when you get back to what I think is actual life. But at the same time, you have to go through the challenge of overcoming this financial obstacle, of achieving this fuck you money. It's very hard. Very, very hard. Because just look, there's not a lot of people that have achieved that. If you go by the numbers. It's a very, very, very small percent of the population is at that level. And fortunately, I've gotten to be around some people that are at that level, and I see the vast differences in lifestyle, mentality, just levels of stress, just things like that. It's just, there's a good side and a bad side to both. If you spend too much time living in a world of privilege and freedom, if you're not disciplined, it can definitely get away from you.
But if you can be disciplined and continue to be a very responsible, hardworking person, focused, determined person, even though you do have fuck you money, then you probably are about to do some good stuff with your life. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to put in the work and put in the time
and put in the carry the level of discipline and responsibility that you need to be able to be successful enough to get to that level. Earn it. I want that freedom, but I want to earn it. So why am I talking about this? Because I've been spending the majority of my time in the past 11 years as an engineer, working hard to progress, advance, get better, make a living, this and that. So, if you want to compare, I mean, it's pretty obvious, I'm sure, to everybody. If you're working as an engineer versus if you're working as a producer, that's a very, very big difference in how much money you get paid. Getting to the point of actually getting paid as a producer is much harder, because getting to that point where someone is willing to pay you a producer fee, or at least getting to the point where someone will trust you to produce their song, in whatever way that means, and to make something that's good enough, that performs well in the world and is a successful song, to get money in return in the form of royalties, or money in the return as far as upfront money is a producer fee. Either way, getting money back to you for your work as a producer, just getting to that point is very, very difficult. Not impossible at all, There's just a lot of things have to go right for you. A lot of things all have to line up. Not as much as they used to be, and which is what's cool about the internet and the streaming age, is that there are a lot less obstacles than what there used to be. But along with that, a lot of subpar stuff is able to get out there. But sometimes subpar stuff ends up being a hit also, which is confusing. It's like, what the fuck are we really doing here? Why am I trying so hard? So, but getting paid as an engineer, that's still not easy to get someone to be willing to pay you, hire you and pay you a decent rate for your engineering time. But I've done that. I've been doing that. And is there more money to be made as an engineer? Yes. I'm not like maxed out. I'm not like the highest paid engineer out there at all. I'm pretty, I don't know. I have no idea actually, but I would say I'm not at the top and I'm not at the bottom. Somewhere in between. But I know this. If you're working as a producer, even at a very low level, but you're doing it consistently, and you are able to do it enough to where that is your full-time occupation, is producing records for people, and a good amount of those records get out there in the world and you get paid a producer fee and you're collecting royalties. Even if you're doing that at a very basic level and you're not well known, you're not popping at all, you're just somebody that is just doing it and you've got clients and you're somewhat established somewhere, you're still probably going to be making more money than one of the highest end engineers out there. So, I made a song 4 to 5 years ago. I wasn't really trying that hard. When I think about it, it happened pretty easily. Fast forward, it's a gold record. And there will be a return on my investment of time and energy that I put into it. Finally, I did get paid a producer fee. I engineered it, so I got paid to do the engineering. But that money is obviously long gone. That was from 4 years ago. But now there's more. I mean, I've been collecting royalties on this song ever since it came out. Every quarter you get a check in the mail, and you know, it wasn't ever anything to brag about. It was something, which was okay, thank you. I'm grateful to get something rather than nothing, but definitely wasn't something I was going to splurge with. It was just, you know, a little extra something to just pay a few bills, I guess. But once you go gold, that's a different level. Even with streaming payout rates being as low as they are, like criminally low, still, when you just are amassing like hundreds of millions of streams, hundreds of millions times, you know, a crumb of a penny still will eventually add up to something. So later this year, I'm not going to get my hopes up. I don't know any specific numbers, but it should be more than what I've been getting. So I'm looking forward to that. But I also realized that's just one song I did a long time ago. If I was doing this on the regular, if I had a few more of these songs that were performing at this level, I would be making way more money for doing like relatively nothing compared to how much I work at engineering. So this is a thing for people to think about. What are you actually good at? And what is your value? If you're good enough to do something like producing, then you should be doing it. If you have a talent, will to do it, because something can happen. You know, it's much better to make a living off just making music compared to having a job and working for somebody. I'm pretty sure everybody would agree. So, it's important to not really operate too much based off of, do you think you're good enough or not? I guarantee you probably are. Just think about that, because no matter what, like what I said, because this is accessible to everybody, there's people out there in the world that are doing it, that are definitely not as good as you, but they're out there doing it and potentially making a living off of it. So why not you? And that's exactly what I said to myself in my own head. Why not you? And I just thought to myself, back to myself, I said, you know what? You're right. I said, yeah, I am right. And I said, who's talking right now? And then I also said, who's listening right now? Nobody. That's the name of the fucking podcast. Bam. Excuse me. A little congested today. So. Ooh. Damn. That was like a Willy Wonka moment. I think like a secret door just opened up and some Oompa Loompas came out. Time to fucking take over this chocolate factory. That's how I look at life now. It's hard work. Don't ever fool yourself. You know, you have to work hard, you have to focus, you have to be determined, you have to be disciplined and responsible. But don't ever think that any of this is impossible. So, with me and what I'm doing with this podcast, this is my 25th episode. I've spent all these 25 episodes figuring out what am I doing as a podcast. I still haven't actually tried to like lock it down. Like if I had to put it in like one tagline of like, this is what it's about, I haven't actually, the closest thing I've just recently figured out is that all I'm doing is sharing my own experience of going through this experience of being a music professional. And I'm not here to say, this is how it works. I'm an expert. Listen to me. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. It's not that at all. Because I don't know. And I'll never know. And that's the greatest part. That's a Willow lyric. That girl's... Yeah, she was onto some shit way back then. But that's the greatest part, is that you'll never know, which means you can never be done learning shit and figuring it out and realizing things and understanding things and never stop growing and just hitting new levels. And that's all I'm about, is just don't stress about how fast you're going. You know, this is all a marathon. You got to be like, this is a marathon, not a sprint. As long as you are consistently putting one foot in front of the other foot, then don't trip. But if you can look down at your feet and they're not moving, then you'll be like, oh shit, trip out. Let's move. Keep doing something. Even just the tiniest amount. Just keep moving. One foot in front of the next. Meaning, whatever you do, if there's something that you're trying to achieve, a direction you're trying to go in life, just go in that direction. Just as long as you know you keep walking in that direction, like you see a gigantic mountain way off in the distance, and it just seems like it's so far away, you'll never get there. But it's big enough that you can see it. At least you know it's in that direction, and you can walk in that direction. How long it's going to take, I don't know. Will you survive the journey between here and there? I don't know. But you know which way to go. So if you make it or you don't make it, I don't know, that's on you. But at least the one thing that you have power over immediate power over is the fact that, am I moving in that direction or not? Am I just taking small steps towards that, or am I not? If I'm not making small steps towards that, that's fully in my power to do that. So if I'm not, then it's 100% my fault that it's not happening. But if you just know every day I wake up and I take steps and I walk in that direction that I'm trying to go, eventually you'll get there. And that's all I'm on. I'm on a journey. I'm between A and B. I'm between point A and point B. I don't know where. I'm somewhere in the middle. And I'm reporting to you live from the middle of A and B. There's some things I've learned that have been helpful to me that may be helpful to other people. So that's what I try to talk about. But as I move forward, I'm still going to keep learning stuff. I'm going to keep learning stuff, and I'm going to keep feeling like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And there's ups and downs always, of course. It's not good to be fake optimistic, right? You can't just put on a smile all the time. You can't just tell everybody, hi, how you doing? Great. How are you? Like, all the time? Come on. That's not real. I try to just be a bit more down the center when it comes to that kind of thing. I don't like to fake being one way or another, and I hate having to cover up the fact that I'm not feeling great. So it's easier just to kind of, for me, keep myself a bit more in the center. So whatever you see from me, if I'm on a high, if I'm on a low, at least you know and I know it's real. Because I don't want to waste fake emotion. It's energy, so I don't want to waste energy. And when you're on this journey between A and B, trying to get to this gigantic mountain, it's nice if you can have somebody there walking with you. But you can never stop when they stop. You don't have to fully pass them and leave them, but just be like, okay, you want to take a break? Fine. I'm going to keep walking. I'll slow down a little bit, maybe, so you can see me. We won't lose each other, but you need to catch up later.
I'm gonna keep moving. I'm not stopping for anybody. Because at the end of the day, only you can move your 2 feet. No one's gonna move your 2 feet for you. If they do move your 2 feet for you and move you ahead, and you don't have to do any of the work to move ahead,
you will not really understand what it means to be at that next level. I think that's where a lot of confusion comes in for people, is that they get to a level that they didn't earn. So they haven't had the time to gradually acclimate and adjust to that new level, to be able to handle that level. I don't know what I'm hearing right now. What the fuck is this sound? Okay, I mean, this whole time there's been crazy sounds that don't make sense. I don't know why all of a sudden now I'm being distracted. Ooh. Drum fills, percussion fills, that's a new thing I started putting in. And that's kind of fun. It just gives you a little palate cleanser of all the weird random shit. Sometimes you just need something that's standard. A musical element that's just is what it is for no reason. Drum fills, percussion fills, those are transitional elements to a song. So it's a nice way to just hear that and know that, oh, it's time to transition to the next thing that I'm going to talk about. And so, yeah, for me, where I'm at right now, my focus is on just working to my full potential, which right now, out of what I do, all my skills and talents and abilities that are music related, because that's what I've been focusing my life towards for all this time, I'm gonna put it towards the thing that is gonna be the most beneficial for me, which is to do more producing. And I took my focus off of that for many a year because my close immediate thing was engineering. That was my short-term turnaround income. I work for somebody, I bill someone, I get paid. Like that's my day-to-day work, pay the bills, and live. That's works for short time, and I'm still doing that because you got to pay the bills. But you got to plan for the long term. You got to have your long term. People have a retirement plan. I do too, but it's just different. It's not gonna happen. I'm not planning to retire at retirement age. I'm planning to retire as soon as I can. So I'm just trying to put pedal to the metal, not fully. That's a little reckless, but I'm stepping on it. And so I realized I spent too much time just focusing on engineering and this kind of short-term return, because I just used to just think that's what I was, and that's what I'm good at, and that's what I'll do. I always wanted to produce and keep doing that. I always enjoyed that, but I just didn't lay the groundwork to be able to make that happen because I didn't fully believe in myself. And then this gold record pops its head up. And I don't want to keep talking about it like it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's just a thing, a signal to myself that, hey, idiot, you could have been doing this a long time ago. You're good enough. Don't worry about that. You know how to do this because you did this 4 years ago when you weren't really trying that hard. And this song, it got to this point because it's a good song. Not because there's no music video, there's no promotion, there's no nothing for it. It's out there, people found it, people listened to it, they enjoyed it, they shared it. Yes, it got on TikTok and blew up. Yes, it got way more exposure. But the song still has to be a good song to make people want to listen to it. They can see a TikTok video and watch this 10 seconds of the song, but if it's not a good song, they're not going to go to Spotify and then listen to the song repeatedly and make it a song that they like and put in playlists and share with their friends. So a big part of that song being a good song, when it comes down to the history books, it's the contribution, it's the teamwork of me and Willow. That's what it is, a producer and an artist coming together and you make something cool. So I know back then I was good enough to do it. And I just took my foot off the gas when it came to being a producer. And I put my foot on the gas fully for being an engineer, which in the end, it all works out. It all serves me because it's my skill and my talent that I've developed at being an engineer still serves me as being a producer. And it's a toolbox, a very valuable toolbox that I have with me that will serve me well. And it will still be worth it all the time and effort that I put into that. If you want to be a good producer, eventually you got to know something about engineering. You don't have to be like,
you don't have to know it all, but you need to have at least a solid basic understanding of the fundamentals of what goes into it. Because a well-produced record is a well-engineered record. And it takes a producer that understands that to be the quality control.
Jesus. It's all about quality control. So a producer, while they might not know fully how to engineer themselves, they have to be the one that knows, is this engineered properly to what it should be. Now, a bit of that depends stylistically, but there's certain technical things of like making something sound good and professional and not fucked up and unpleasant. So I just focused a lot of time into that up until now. I focused all my time, and now it's time to switch gears and move more into this creative direction and to just explore what else I can do. And it's been a cycle for me that has kind of kept me stuck in a ways, because when I spend so much time engineering, or you just like if you've listened to this podcast, stuff I worked on. When it's album time, when it's album mode, album season, and you get locked into a project and you're just doing it day in, day out, you get sucked into that world, and you don't have time and energy left over to be able to do other stuff on your own, producing wise. So after not doing it for a while, you just get out of shape, just like anything else. So the next time you try to do it, it's a little sluggish, it's a little clunky. So every time I come back to it and I'm having this moment when it's feeling sluggish and clunky, then I get down on myself. Like I think like, oh man, I'm not good at this. What am I doing? And then that becomes a trap. But it's just like going to the gym. If you haven't been in a while, you gotta put in some work for a few weeks before you get to the point where you feel like, oh, now this feels right. Now I'm enjoying this. Now I'm not feeling like shit. Now I'm feeling closer to normal. And now I'm ready to really work and push myself. Now I'm at a baseline of fitness to be able to like push harder to get to the next level of fitness, and the next level, and the next level. So that's what I learned, is that as busy as I may get in the future, moving on with just engineering stuff that I currently still do, I can't let myself get busy to the point where I take my foot off the gas of producing. I gotta keep the flame on that. Even if it gets low, don't let it go out. Just keep it simmering. I make sourdough bread. And the key to making sourdough bread, wow, tangent, is you have to have a sourdough starter culture, which means it's a fermented culture of bacteria, which is just fermented flour and water. You need that to make every batch of bread. That's what ferments the bread. That's what leavens the bread, makes it rise, makes it look like and taste like bread. And you got to keep replenishing it. You can't let your culture, your bacteria culture that you're growing in your kitchen, you can't let that die. You got to keep feeding it. Even if you're not using it. If you're not like making bread all the time, the regular, which sometimes I don't, I get busy. You just got to keep it alive. Bare minimum, just keep it alive so that eventually when you're ready to make bread again, you revive it, you feed it, you get it back in shape, you get it healthy again, and then you make bread. Or you make music. Sourdough music. If that's such a thing. Maybe it is. Did you know, before they invented Baker's instant yeast, all bread was essentially sourdough. All bread needed to be fermented naturally to rise and become bread loaves. So did you know, before the internet, before streaming, people had to make music because they had to know how to make music. They had to play music. They had to play an instrument or something. I don't know where I'm going with this. But I often come up with analogies for myself, all the time actually, every day. I am just I have a thing about analogies and thinking in that way, but it's very helpful to allow you to have perspective on something when you get stuck. If you can compare it to something else like food and music, if you're working in one thing, one side of it, and you get stuck, like just music, like I'm stuck in trying to figure out how to make a song sound good, or how to finish writing a song, or how to mix a song, and you're a little stuck. Well, if I hop over to this analogy of comparing it to food, if this was a food dish that I'm trying to figure out to make it work, then I can think about that because I have experience with food and cooking. So I can just think about it in that world. And sometimes that allows me to find a solution that I can bring back over to the music world and think about it and really understand better what it is that I'm dealing with. Dramatic pause. Had to scratch my nose. Sometimes you just gotta handle your life. You gotta itch on your nose. You gotta scratch it. You gotta sit back from the mic, scratch your nose real quick. And then sometimes you gotta get lost in the moment of scratching your nose and listen to all these weird sounds and shit floating in my headphones and lose track of what I was saying completely. But that's okay. That's fully okay. That's, if you're on this journey with me, that's the journey, is getting lost. Good God, it's barbaric out here. Like I said, I'm not trying to make this podcast about being any type of point of authority. I'm just out here. I'm out here in the wild, and I'm reporting live. And the honest truth is, sometimes you get lost, you get confused, you get off track. It happens to everybody on the regular. Wow. But then you just gotta get past the distractions. Gotta get past all the distracting noises that's floating in your head. And you gotta get back to what you know you're supposed to be doing. And in this moment, I'm supposed to be talking with a point. I do have a point, though. Well, anyways, this is just whatever. This is the first of 2020. I got more to do this year. Ooh, magic. Magic. I'm running out of sounds. I'm having to download these sound effect libraries and just everything that I've accumulated over all these years. I'm having to pull it all out in order to make these podcasts full of all these sounds. Because, yeah, an hour is a lot. An hour goes by and then that's a lot of sounds you need to fill an hour. Oh, here comes another one. Watch this. Ooh. Rub-a-dub-dub. Rewind selector. But it's fun. It's playful. Why not make this fun and playful? Right? What else do we got to be doing? Why make it so serious? If you want to be serious, listen to NPR or listen to a TED Talk. I am only in it for the fun. Here goes another one. Ah, damn it. You know what? Hold on. Oh, wait. Oh, I see. It's a late starter. It's a late bloomer. It's one of those. All right. Let me turn this volume up because let's just get a little bit out of control sometimes. Let's turn up the volume on these sound effects so when you hear it, I'm listening to it live as I'm recording. I'll make a few adjustments after the fact. I try not to do too much. I really like letting this be what it is because it's a lot more interesting when you listen back to it later. And you know, just like it is what it is. It's a nice little time capsule when you listen back to from wherever you are in the future, listening back to it. It just, yeah, comes out better that way. Wow. So as I've been meeting with people, sharing advice, and moving in this direction of trying to be a bit involved on an educational level to help share helpful information about what I do. People have asked me things like very general questions, like just, yeah, like what could you tell me right now? What's like the best piece of advice you tell me? Or what's like one of the most important things to know and learn about? And when I think about that, it always tends to come back around to the idea that, let's just take, for instance, you want to be an engineer. You want to learn how to engineer. That's what you want to do. Great. Let's just take that, for instance. If I were to sit with you and you want to know all there is to know, how do I do this? What's the advice you could give me? What's some technical advice, technical tips, career advice, this and that? Jesus. Well, you're in for a lot of that. Just know. You're in for a lot of dudes falling off cliffs. So, if you're faint of heart, it's not for you. But I will say this. The job of an engineer is, for the most part, a technical job. That's why people hire you, because they don't want to have to deal with the boring technical shit. They want someone that knows how to come in and handle all the equipment, handle the computers, the software, handle the files, do all that boring shit. Mix in with a little bit of fun, creative stuff. 'Cause at the end of the day, it's all music, so it should be fun, even for the engineer. So a lot of people will focus on the technical part so much that they think that's really all it comes down to. Do you know how to use this software? Do you know how hardware works? Do you know like EQs, compressors, consoles, microphones, mic preamps, plugins that do all the same stuff in the computer? How much of this knowledge do you have in your head? Have you amassed? You know, people use that as like their currency of what they think the value is. But I say that type of information, you can find all that information in books, in manuals, in articles, in YouTube videos, in social media posts for a reason. Because that's easy stuff to obtain. That's just information, that's just data. That's just words, that's just pictures, diagrams, charts, numbers. That's all that is. The part that sets you apart from another person being good at this job, being skilled at this job, being hired to do this job over someone else and to be rehired continually, it comes down to you. It comes down to the human. And that is the part that is missing from all of education, is how do you be a human? Wow. How did we get this far and people still do not know how to be a human? I'm not here to tell you that I know.
I'm just saying nobody knows. Nobody knows. But it's important to try to start thinking about that and try to figure it out for yourself. Nobody knows, but people can only figure it out for themselves. You can't really figure it out for everybody. Because everybody's different. Everybody's here for something different. They're here to have their experience, not yours. You're only here to have your experience. So you gotta figure out how to have your experience in the best way that you can. So when it comes to just being an engineer, and you want to figure out how to be a good engineer, how to get better as an engineer, well, I'd say don't focus so much on that, because that's honestly easy. You can go on YouTube all day, you can read shit all day for free. All this information, you could soak it up. I've done it myself. Even as a working professional, I watch YouTube videos and I learn shit that I don't know. So that way, when I go to have a session tomorrow, I show up and nobody assumes that I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody assumes that I just watched a YouTube video last night to figure out how to do what we're doing today. That's easy. If you want to figure out how to be better as an engineer, then you just got to figure out how to be better as a human. What does that mean? Maybe it means, I think, the common sense things like, can you be more disciplined? Can you be responsible? Can you be organized? Can you be nice? Can you be polite, respectful, courteous, considerate of other people's time, considerate of their energy, their feelings, all that. And considerate of yourself, to not let yourself get taken advantage of and get stepped all over. And for the people that I see that have been able to endure working in this field for many years, which is hard, but to be able to keep doing it, yeah, talent, skill, that's important. Some people get by just on that, but you gotta develop yourself as a human. And a lot of that is not what you're gonna learn from the traditional way of thinking, traditional way of life, of going to school, graduating just so you can go to another school, graduating just so you can go to another school, so you can get a job, so you can get a paycheck, so you can pay your taxes, so you can pay your bills, and just do that until you get old. That version of life is not going to teach you anything about, well, it's not going to teach you, let me not say that. It's going to teach you a lot less about being a human, because that way of life is dependent on you not figuring that out. We're not all meant to be here going to school and working and getting jobs to make a living and spend our whole time doing that. I'll tell you, we're not. If we are, that's fucking stupid. So, that goes back to my whole point I made earlier of my motivation being to get to that fuck you money level, which doesn't have to be like a crazy amount. You could make, it's just all to you, like how much do you need? How crazy of a life are you trying to have? So it doesn't have to be like some ridiculous unattainable number. It could be like not that much if you can be level-headed. But regardless, I'm just trying to achieve my level, my version of that. Because I am trying to figure out how to be a better human.
And I like to put a lot of time and energy and thought towards that. But a lot of times you get busy because you do have a job and you do got to pay bills. So you take your attention off of that kind of stuff. You get distracted. And that's my whole point, is I'm trying to not get distracted off of the real shit. Yes, you gotta deal with your real life.
Your present situation, you gotta deal with it. Don't ignore it. Don't turn away from it. But don't turn away from the other path that you're trying to walk.
Keep both, right? You gotta be able to look in two different directions at the same time. You gotta be able to keep your eyes on two different things at the same time. Oof. Another guy just fell off a cliff. Fuck. So, stay alert, stay aware. You don't want to be one of those guys that just fell off the cliff, because every time you heard that, that's somebody in the music industry giving up and quitting and moving back to their hometown and becoming a real estate agent. No offense to any of you if this is actually what happened to you. I'm just saying a random like scenario in my head. Oh shit. But that could easily be you if you decide to walk down this path and you walk this path without the right perspective. I hope any tiny bit, I hope just like one sentence that I said in this past hour is useful. At least that. At least it hasn't been a complete waste of your time. If you've listened this far to this silliness, whatever the fuck this is, I don't know. But like I said, I enjoy the fact that I don't know what this is. And hey, what do you know? Another analogy. You know, I'm making this podcast experience for me is an analogy of what I'm trying to do in life. I'm not creating this podcast with like this well-defined plan of this is what it is. This is what you're tuning in for. This is what you're listening for. No, it's not that. I don't know. I'm making it up literally on the spot. So a big part of that is creating this soundscape every time that's a different one, that has a lot of random shit going on, random sounds and random effects on my voice, so that I'm always confused. In the best way though, like, and I'm letting myself be confused for other people to listen to. And for myself, I obviously, like, the weirder this shit gets, I listen back to it and it's just hilarious to me that I'm like, I'm fucking, why did I do this?
But that's why I called it the Talk Like No One's Listening podcast, because I just, in the back of my head, I just tell myself, nobody's paying attention.
Nobody gives a fuck. So, don't worry. But then, weird enough, people will tell me, hey man, I heard your podcast. Cool.
What? How did you hear? You're not supposed to. Like, it's kind of like in the title. It's meant to not be listened to, but you didn't pay attention to that part. You listened anyway. But then this is also episode 25, so what the fuck am I talking about?
All right. There you go. I was just waiting for the bell. That's how I know it's time to go. It's time to wrap it up. Yeah. Clock tower has struck. And with that, till next time, thanks for listening. Talk Like No One's Listening podcast, episode 25. I'll be back for another one of these random fucking things. So, stay tuned.